Welcome back everyone, I'm Philip here from BlackBull Markets, back again with another market update. Got two periods to look at, so make sure to stick all the way through to the end of the video to see what we're looking at here on the market, guys. Also comment down below if there are any other pairs that you might want to see us analyze here on these videos. Also make sure to smash that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are interested in learning more about Forex and improving your current trading skills. So without further ado, let's dive into the charts and see what the market has given us this Monday morning. I've been seeing a lot of consolidation throughout the markets, but I've picked out a couple ones that I've kind of got my eye out. Starting off here with gold. You guys know we've been following gold for a long time. This is the 4-hourly term time frame. We're in this major range, okay, big 4-hourly range, but we are starting to squeeze down a little bit tighter into some smaller ranges as well. Now, when we start to see this happen, actually I'll change this color of the pen because yellow can be fairly hard to see. Let me make it purple. Okay, I like purple, we'll change it to that. Okay, so we're seeing these, there's our bottom range support. It's sitting here roughly, if my line is straight enough, 19.0 that I've got here is that smaller support range. And now currently we're sitting just below that 1950 mark zone. So 1940 I would say is kind of where the smaller, resistance is sitting at. So this is a fairly small tight range. Now obviously if we want to drop it down to the lower term time frames, we can actually start to look for some moves. Now, for me as a swing trader, now obviously I'm not a big fan of trading smaller term time frames. I generally stick with the hour all the way analyzing to the monthly, but I know there are some smaller term time frame traders that could enjoy trading on the lower term time frame. So I'm going to actually pop this up and I'm going to put a little bit of a resistance section up over here. Okay, that wick is a little bit of an extremity, so we need to keep this in mind. So I will just put a little ray on there just so we can be aware of it. We can see the market has actually rejected it. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. Actually what I'll do in that case, then I'll move this zone up a bit more. So guys, for me, when I use zones and support and resistance zones, guys, I look to see where the wicks are. So I want to see that big range. Now we know support and resistance areas are not just one small line. As we can see, wicks influence that as well. So I generally use the wick extremities to find the biggest range. Now how do I use that to trade? I've explained it before, but I'll quickly briefly run through it on over here. Okay, so let's say for example I have a range over here and I've got my range up there, for example, where that gray box is. Now if I want to take a trade, let's say to the downside here, for example, now obviously we've got spread included, so I'm not really going to use the spread in the example, but what I'm going to say is, if I want to take a sell right here, for example, I would actually put, if I do take my entry here, I'll put my stop loss above that range, okay? Because this is the range where the market is seeing a lot of selling power, for example, come in. And we have seen wicks actually reach that area, so I'm going to put it just above that because that's where I feel it's the most safest for me to go and where my stops are less likely to get stopped out. Okay, now take profit wise, I'm not going to go and put my take profit below this range. I'm actually going to use my take profit and put it at the start of that range, which generally gives me the highest probability of my take profit getting hit, because we have seen the market wick down, but we also sometimes see the market just touch it and not actually even use that full range and then reverse and go back the other way. Okay, so that's kind of how I use ranges, and that's why I use ranges as well, to give me a bit of a higher probability. Okay, but now let's pop down to the lower term time frames to see what we might have. Obviously we can see some nice rejections. We've seen this hourly term time frame now on gold. We can see the market rejecting. We see a bit of a slowdown in this price. We can kind of start to see this little bit of a curve structure. We also do, however, have some wicks here at the bottom. We start to see some drops now. I'll zoom in a bit so we can actually watch this price move as I explain it. It will be very interesting to see. Okay, but essentially what I want to see, I would like to see a nice big close over here. So generally speaking, I would usually like to have, this is a fairly big range we kind of have here as well, but I want to see a nice close below here. Okay, that's generally what I'm looking for. Even, I would be kind of happy as well with a fairly big red close, but, getting close to that zone, because that means we've engulfed these previous attempts of the bulls trying to take it past the support. There's resistance, and this could give us a nice potential sell because we can see selling power has started to take over. This is generally what we see by support / resistance zones. So, for example, we have the zone right over here, okay, and we can see that we had this nice green candle overtake two previous attempts of breaking that support. Okay, so if we do get a break below here, okay, generally speaking, I want to see a bit of a wick retest as well. So let's say I've got my support here. I want to see this market break down just below here. Okay, that's the candle I want to see. And the next candle I want to see, generally speaking, is I want to see as soon as a candle opens, I want to see it rush up, because this is generally when liquidity is being grabbed, so more orders can get filled, and then hopefully we can see the price drop a little bit further lower. That's generally what I look for, and just general candle structure. But you know, just quick look here at the high term time frame, we can see, like I said, this is a messy trading range, so I don't really want to be trading back into it. Okay, so what I'm actually not going to be looking for any sales here. I would rather wait and look for the position where this candle where the market can move above the support, this resistance, sorry, and then start to use it as support to push back to that 1966 mark. Okay, that'll be very nice for us. Now obviously gold has got some work to do to try and reach those all-time highs again. Once we reach that 1966 mark, we could potentially start looking for some breaks further higher, and we can start to look to test those highs again at 2074. We've got it here on our charts. And obviously there's always, guys, we can't just be blindsided to one direction in the market. As traders, we just pay attention to, you know, react on what the market gives us. So we always have to look for the potential for downside movement. Now again, if we just reach resistance, I'm not just going to take a sell. I want to see some confirmation. First of all, target wise, we can see we've got some, if I can draw this line straight, I have got here roughly 1860 as the potential for the downside, and we might look to maybe test a little bit lower. Maybe 1840 could also be a good place to look at, where we saw some previous resistance. Now I want to see a break of this low and then a retest before we do start pushing further lower to these zones. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm really looking for, but at this stage, buys are starting to look pretty good. But again, you know, just keep in mind we're in that range. Now another one I want to look at, which is getting a little bit more closer to a potential setup, is AUDJPY. This is the the hourly term time frame. Now yes, this consolidation looks absolutely horrendous. You guys can see it's really done nothing. Okay, really almost done nothing for almost an entire day almost, right? See, the market opened with a slight gap to the downside and then got filled pretty quickly, and we are now sitting in this little range right over here. There's our resistance sitting at 92.9, and we have our support, I would say, sitting here 92.4. Seems to be, you know, is roughly about what I've got here on my chart. So pretty nasty little resistance. Now how do I know whether, or not know, but how can I have a bit of a bias to say whether this market's more likely to break to the upside or break to the downside? We'll pop it over to the 4-hourly term time frame to have a look here. We can start to see something fairly interesting happening here back in time. Okay, if we have a look here on the 29th, 28th of March, we saw a bit of a resistance rejecting here. I'm going to pop it over to the daily, and we can actually see we've come back down below this wick range for AUDJPY. So this was a very big attempt to breach that 95 mark zone, and we completely failed to do it. And now we can see again some more rejections in the market. So if we can stay below this, I do believe we could potentially see some nice drops coming up. Targets for the sales would be, I would say, about the 91 mark zone to play it safe, or 91.34. You know, is generally where we could see where I've got it here, 91.3. Okay, that's a good target to go to. So we've got this beautiful range, and as traders, that's what we're looking for, range to range. And we can see this is the nice sort of zone we're trading in. Now, obviously, guys, if the market does break higher, I'm not going to be set on my sells. I'm going to change my perspective and say, okay, well, market's now broken resistance, and I have to start looking at the other side of things. So let's have a look at potential forecasts. If the market does break down, you know, we can see beautiful pushes. That will be our target zones. We'll have to wait for candle confirmations. Look at that. That looks like a barcode. But if the market, again, guys, if it breaks high, sits on here, first things I'll be looking for is to fill back that 94.195 or 94.2. Could be a good target to push to. And then, obviously, if we can go further higher, I would not be looking for straightaway breakouts. I always like to know, or like to trade, as you guys do know, breaks and retests in the market, which will be really ideal. But for me, obviously, like I said, I like to see sells. If we do drop further lower, very similar situation to the top side. You know, we'll see the same, hopefully see the same thing to the downside if we can continue further lower, rejecting on that breaks and retest. You know, we have some smaller internal or smaller support resistance zones coming in. I want to have a quick look before we end this video, quick look here on the high term time frame to see. You guys can see we've got almost no traffic. I'm going to pop it over just to the daily to see. I mean, there is beautiful, if we can get a drop, which would be very ideal, there is some beautiful clean market structure coming up, and these could give us some really nice ideal targets to push to. 96.3 is the most recent resistance. We can see we do have some coming up way back in 2017. Okay, so we need to be slightly aware of those. Okay, we'll zoom out just a bit so we can see. So you guys can see we have some resistance coming up from 2016, 2017. This year was this was kind of the zone we need to be aware of. Okay, but even still, guys, if I drop this down again to my 4 hourly, zoom in, you guys can see it's a very long way away. Okay, even if we don't make it to this 96 target, we have first of all 91.12. Beautiful target, nice massive move. This risk reward is absolutely beautiful if we can get a trade down to here or even down to here. Okay, a couple of nice pairs, AUDJPY, XAU, USD or gold, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, comment down below if you guys want to see any pairs that you want us to analyze for you. We'll be more than happy. We even do commodities. If you want to see oil, US 30, things like that, feel free to let us know, or any FX pair that we offer. We can analyze that for you guys on request. Guys, thanks so much for watching from us here at BlackBull Markets. As always, stay tuned, enjoy your week, and trade safe.